All right, and our meeting is setting up now, and it is live.
Great.
All right, so we are good.
All right. Cool. Okay. I motion to call to order this meeting.
Would you like me to pull the agenda up for you?
Yes, I already have it. I can.
Or yeah, if you want to share your screen.
Okay, sure. Cool. Okay. You all see that?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I call to order to begin the meeting. Could I get a second?
I say second.
Second.
Thank you. All right. All in favor? Just say aye. You can do roll call. Or should we do that? Or
you don't need a motion to call. Oh,
Alessia, I can't hear you.
So sorry. You don't need a motion to call the meeting into order.
All right, cool. Just got it. All right. Great. Okay. And then how do you want to do voting?
For voting, we can either we usually do it in the chat, I would say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So in that case, we can begin with the interim agenda, starting with Senate Bill 2023-001. A bill to amend the Student Senate Constitution to restore Student Senate Advisory Boards in Title 11, amend Title 3 to move the Campus Fee Advisory Board, Title 11, amend the fee trusteeships in Title 10, amend Title 2 to match the structure, and order the fee review and fund processes of Student Senate.
All right, and since I'm the author, I'll go ahead and probably present that. Could you set a 2-minute timer, Sam?
Can do.
All right. So really the core purpose of this legislation is to bring back the advisory boards that were stripped out of our original constitution. The reason I thought that this should go on the interim agenda is that I think they are integral to the structure of Student Senate, especially in terms of like making sure that our fee entities are able to advocate for themselves in the fee review in this next spring semester here. What you'll see added here are basically all of the Student Senate advisory boards that existed previously, with only some fee entities not receiving advisory boards, just to student interest trends that we saw. And so if you just go down the amendment here, it'll showcase. Yeah. The new campus fee trustee board that is going to be put in Article 1 of this title. And then following that, you'll have all of the advisory boards that are going to sit below in this. And so really you should see the campus fee trustee board as like the overarching board that's going to be making sure that all of the advisory boards are, collaborating together when it comes to the student fee process. And following that, really all of the other amendments are more related to, moving stuff around in the Constitution. The DEI fund and the Equal Opportunity Fund is being moved into this section here just to have it with all of the other boards. Fee trusteeships are something that are required for our student fee. And so those are just going to be amended to have the fee trusteeships that are in this document here. And then for fee reviews committee is, instead of being in the legislative title, going to be moved into the top of the fee code. And so you'll see that basically at the beginning, right before all of the student fees get listed in the Student Senate Constitution, that we will have that campus fee review board. And so, yeah, I'm just looking for a vote from StudEx that we believe that this should be presented in the interim agenda and that we should push this to the next meeting of the Students' Assembly so that this legislation stays in effect through that period. Any questions?
I was going to say, can we motion to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I motion to call to question and vote.
I'll second.
All right. Yeah, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Cool.
And for this one, yeah, if we're calling a bill into question, then we will see if there's any objection to that, and then we'll move for the formal vote.
Okay. Any objection? Cool. Okay. In that case, we can move into formal vote. So we will do it in the chat. Or we can do reactions too, but whatever works. 'Cause it's kind of confusing, like who's doing aye for which motion. So let's do reactions. Okay. So if I could see everybody. Okay. So we'll just do reactions.
Okay.
All in favor? Just do the one on the left, the like raise your hand emote. That'd be good. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I guess I need one more in favor. Correct?
2, because Turner is not a voting member.
Okay.
Who are the other voting members that need to vote?
Sadie and Giuseppe.
Okay. And is the raise hand is a vote yes, right? What happens if you want to vote no? What should you do?
I'll call out raise your hand to vote no after.
Okay.
Okay, just need one more. Otherwise, I guess I'll have to table this. Cool. All right, and then do we have any other voting members that haven't voted?
No, I
Great.
think 5 is the extent for this meeting.
Sounds good. Okay, and then any nays can raise their hands. All right, that's no nays. So then on a passage of 5-0, this bill passes and we'll move on. All right. Next up, we have Senate Bill 002.
All right. So author again, if I could have 2 minutes. This one is pretty easy to explain. This is really just amending the membership of StudEx and the University Senate here. So what's happening here essentially is that we've had basically the Senate seat for graduate students filled by the graduate student body president for a couple of years now, and that seems to be sort of like the most natural fit for that seat. And so what this would amend is instead of electing that seat through the Students' Assembly, we will just simply have the graduate student body president serving as the ex officio voting member of the Senate Executive Committee. And since they are already a member of the University Senate, this should be something that transfers fairly easily. Any questions?
What's a motion to vote?
I will second that.
Okay. Anyone opposed? All right. In that case, we will move on to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand with the reaction. All right, great. You can put your hands down. And all opposed, please raise your hand with the reaction. All right. Excellent. 5-0. This bill passes and moves on. Next up, 003. So this, unless you can talk about it if you'd like, since you're the author, but I don't know, I might have a couple words too.
Yes, of course. And yeah, you definitely assisted me with this one here. So really, this just stands to amend the attendance requirements of student senators. And so in the newly edited Constitution for Student Senate, we did have an attendance requirement. However, there was not sort of like a strike system that has been in place in previous years in Student Senate. And so what's happening here essentially is that we're re-implementing that strike system, that student senators are allowed 2 unexcused absences and/or 3 absences of any kind before they are considered in violation of this responsibility and could face disciplinary action. The reason that I put out this amendment is because as of right now, we can currently take senators out for sort of any breach of their responsibilities of being a student senator. And in this case, I don't think it would be a fair decision because essentially any attendance strike or multiple attendance strikes could count as like the attendance strike that gets you disqualified from being a student senator. And so this, I think, puts in a fair system and some rules in place so that when student senators are having unexcused absences, it can be very easily tallied. And yeah, I'll let Sam speak on the rest of this.
Yeah, I just largely agree with what you just said. Creating kind of standards that are written in stone for accountability and also being there, I think, is a good thing and could definitely help with proceedings. So.
All right, and I'm seeing 2 questions from Holly and Sadie.
Right. I guess we'll let Holly go first since she raised her hand first, and Sadie.
Oh, Sadie's was a motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my question is, and this I think I already know the answer, but I just wanted to clarify. Does this mean like for graduate students that, for example, have to teach or like have a conference or something, as long as they let you know ahead of time, that wouldn't count as an absence? It would just count as an absence if they show up and don't tell anyone.
Okay, so it would still count as an absence. So in Student Senate, and we'll see this when we go over the orientation handbook, we have like an allotment for excused absences that we have in Student Senate. If you have to do something in the academic realm or, any sort of other business that's covered in that title. So really, I think what this is going to allow is for StudEx to have like a holistic sort of like disciplinary action of that. Like if we're seeing 3 absences of any kind and that senator is like on the brink of being disqualified, but then we're seeing that those are completely academic absences, then that I think would be more of a conversation. However, if it was unexcused absences that weren't told or mentioned to the internal affairs director in time, then StudEx doesn't have as much evidence to go on. And so I think that this absence system just puts some accountability in place for student senators and then allows StudEx to like analyze like what the penalty should be for attendance being excused or unexcused.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And then Danae, I see has a question.
Yeah, so what was your reasoning behind choosing 2 or 3 as the number of absences?
It just was what was originally in place in SSRR before we amended it into this new constitution. So that was like historical background for my decision there. It's also usually the allotted amount of like absences that are allowed in most KU classes. And so I thought basing it off of that number seemed to be like a fair number.
Okay. Could I have a follow-up?
Of course. Or, well, I guess Sam
So-
gets that.
Oh.
First.
Okay. So when it says 2 and or 3, so who's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not they're going to be like face punishments after 2 or 3? Like who's going to be the decider of whether they get 2 or 3?
Okay, so in the disciplinary procedures of our Constitution, basically the chief of staff and or any member of the Student Executive Council could bring to the attention of StudEx that, hey, this senator is in violation of our attendance protocols. And that's something that would actually be brought to our attention by our internal affairs director at first in terms of the attendance records, and then in the chief of staff's review of that. But it wouldn't be a unilateral decision. It would be a decision that's made by this council here as to whether or not that senator is not committing to their service in Student Senate or is having extenuating circumstances that are leading to the absences. And so that would be
Okay.
sort of the deciding factor in this case.
Okay, gotcha.
And Holly?
Sorry, I had another question. It keeps like blurring, so I can't read it. So I don't know if it's written there, because the document keeps blurring on my screen. But is this per semester, 2 to 3 absences, or per academic year?
You know what, you're right. It should be per semester. That's what it was historically. And so I would entertain an amendment to this to make it a per semester account.
Yeah, because I just feel like, especially, obviously, I'm here to advocate for graduate students, but I think if it was 2 to 3 per calendar year, we would have senators dropping out left, right, and center. So maybe being a bit more lenient might be useful.
Yeah, no, and I think so. And that obviously matches like what would be existed in classes. And so I agree. So let's see, student senators are allowed 2 unexcused absences and/or 3 absences of any kind per semester. Is that where we want to put it after the word kind?
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm gonna type that in here so that I have record of that, and then I will amend it accordingly before it goes to the Students' Assembly. So just typing that here.
Do we have to vote on the amendment?
We do.
Okay.
Per semester. Okay, so I just put the amendment in the chat. So basically after the word kind here, we'll put per semester before they are considered in violation of this responsibility and could face disciplinary action. Would you say that satisfies your objection there? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right, and then yeah, I will motion to vote on this amendment.
And I will second.
All right. In that case, no objections. We can now vote on the amendment. Oh, Sadie. Oh, you're just raising. Okay. Yeah, preemptively eyeing. Yeah. All right. In that case, yes, all in favor, please raise their hands of this amendment. Okay, looks like we have that. Now you can put down your hands. Anyone who is opposed can raise their hands for this amendment. Okay, looks like 5-0. This amendment passes. Now we can go to voting on the full bill unless somebody has a motion to do that.
So moved.
Cool. Okay. In that case, everyone put your hands down. Now, do I have a motion, or all in favor of the bill as amended can raise their hands?
And then I think just for like brevity's sake on voting, do we instead maybe just want to say like once we have like all voting members voting in favor that it's unanimous?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need one more in favor.
I think it's just Zephyr, correct? That needs
Yeah.
to vote.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. And then for brevity's sake, looks like it passes. This bill will pass on as amended.
And thank you very much for that amendment, Holly. That is an oversight that I did not see.
All
You're
right.
fine. You're a queen. You work so hard. It's okay to not get everything all the time, you know?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go on to Senate Bill 004. This would be a bill to amend the legislative process of Student Senate. Alessia, you have the floor.
Amazing. So this is just one of our legislative processes in the legislative branch. Originally, this past semester, I had put in a process in which people could submit legislation to the chief of staff and that it could still be edited until it was presented to the council on that Wednesday. Originally, I had introduced that because I thought that that would maybe allow senators to introduce more legislation, even if they hadn't gotten it in by the deadline. However, I didn't really see that affected at all throughout the rest of the semester. And I think that especially in terms of like having legislation that is finalized and making sure that all legislation is readable and trackable through the Student Senate, that it's very important that we make sure that it is not edited in between any official amendments that happen in our councils or in the Students' Assembly. And so what I've amended here essentially is, just some are just name amendments, like such as standing councils to student councils, subcommittees to advisory boards, just to satisfy the new needs of the Constitution. But the real amendment that's happening to the legislative process here is that once legislation has been submitted to the chief of staff, it may not be edited, and then legislation may only be edited by the Student Executive Council once it's received each student council's amendment to the legislation or lack thereof. And what that would essentially entail is that in every student council meeting, we'll just need someone to essentially write out an amendment that they're making to the legislation, and then StudEx can look at those amendments as the compromise committee we are when the process comes through. And so, yeah, any questions to that? I see Danae has her hand up.
Go ahead.
That was a mistake.
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
No, you're okay. My bad.
Any other questions?
Motion to vote.
Second.
Cool. All right. Do we even need to do all in favor on motion to vote or just go to it?
Well, yeah. Are there any objections to this motion?
Yeah. Okay. Any objections? Cool. Okay. In that case, we can vote on Senate Bill 004. All in favor, please raise your hand as a reaction. Okay, great. No one's opposed? Anybody opposed? I don't think so. Cool. This bill passes as is. Now we can move on to the regular agenda. So, first off, we have the Student Senate Legislative Calendar approval. I guess you'll find that in the Student Senate Handbook, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
I think it's the second to last one here. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it would be closer to the top here.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And yeah, Sam and I put this together throughout these past few weeks here, getting like these dates oriented and then getting them scheduled. And so this is essentially what the Student Senate legislative calendar will be like for fall and spring. Thankfully, we were able to get it all together through this here. You will notice some shifts to the legislative calendar, particularly in terms of like meeting spaces. So we decided, or at least Sam and I decided that like maybe meeting on the same floor for student council nights would be beneficial for folks, especially if you're hopping in between councils to present legislation and or doing any sort of variety of other things that night. And so we're changing the main room of finance to the Centennial Room, the main room of student rights and affairs to the English room, and the main room of social justice to the Malott room. And really the move from social justice from like the OMA classroom towards this room here was also just on a time basis, because usually the OMA is not able to accommodate the length of meetings that happen for our councils. And so we just sort of moved it over here to the union so that we wouldn't have to potentially move a student council meeting mid-meeting again this year. Students Assembly is still set for Alderson, and then, yeah, all of these dates are set on Wednesdays per usual, and let's see, anything else? Oh, yeah, and they skip over all of the academic breaks in the calendar, and so we're pretty well set here. The only ones that I know are going to be kind of close is that we have one Senate meeting that's sort of immediately after fall break, and then one before Stop Day Eve. So, any questions regarding the legislative calendar? I know that was kind of very quick, and I guess, is there any discussion about like these room changes for the calendar?
Motion to vote.
All right, I'll second that.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Oh. Sadie, you're just raising your hand. Okay. All right. Preemptively, I guess.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
Oh, no, it's cool. Okay. Everyone in favor then of this calendar, please raise your hand. Oh,
No, Zachariah's on.
Zachariah's here. Cool. Welcome.
What's up, guys?
Hey, just hanging out. You know, chilling, casual. Okay. Looks like we have enough. Anybody against? You can put your hands down if you're in favor. Are you in London right now?
I am currently in Heathrow Airport. I just went through the whole passport thing, and so I'm charging my phone now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was it a shit show? Because when I flew back in June through Heathrow, it was an absolute nightmare. It's the worst airport in the world.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not that bad right now. So.
Oh, really? It was
It's
so
not.
bad when I flew back. Like an hour and a half to just do bag drop off. It was crazy.
It took me 10 minutes from landing to going through passport, and now I'm just sitting here about to go on to the Elizabeth line. So I'm just waiting here charging my phone.
It's a nice line. It's like new. That'd be cool.
I'm living for turn.
The Elizabeth line is on my family lives on that line, so that's kind of cool.
Top tier subway.
Top tier. So one day we'll have students Senate in the Elizabeth line, but
Yeah.
for brevity's sake, cool. Okay. I think nobody's against it. I can move that on. Continue. But that was a good little segue there. Yes, but then that passes as is. Okay. So next up, we have the Office Policy Manual. And I expect a little discussion here, but nonetheless, yeah, we can, I don't know, Alessia, you're free to talk about it if you'd like to. I might have a couple
I
things
think
to
I'll
say.
let you discuss it first. I feel like you made most of the amendments to this manual here, so I think you have more of the thought and logic behind it.
Okay, yeah, I can go ahead. So yeah, basically it just describes who all the student senators are. The Senate office is a welcoming environment, be tolerant, everybody should be nice to each other. Basically pretty much have common courtesy as a lot of it. There's a little sustainability part. It's just, you should recycle and turn off your computer and whatnot. Try to keep things cool. Printing paper consumption. Yeah, try to reduce your printing. We're trying to be as digital as possible this year. But again, it's pretty par for the course stuff. This is kind of, I think, where the meat of our discussion could be in terms of the executive staff office hour policies. And I'm glad most of you all are here, so we can kind of go over that. So I can just read it because I think it's important. Executive staff members are responsible for setting their respective office hours with the student body vice president and chief of staff. Hours are to be emailed to the student body vice president and student senate chief of staff at the beginning of each semester of their term. Executives are expected to be accountable for maintaining these specific office hours and post them on their office doors. These hours may be modified at any time during the staff member's term, provided they notify the student body vice president and chief of staff a week in advance and receive approval. Every executive staff member is expected to attend all scheduled office hours of work in person, report for work on time, and use work hours primarily for student senate related business. If an executive staff member wishes to conduct office hours remotely, they must receive prior approval from the student body vice president and chief of staff. I think I'd amend that as and/or. But anyway, so here's kind of the thing. Executive staff members salaried at 15 hours a week are expected to spend 6 of those hours in office. At 20 hours a week, 8 hours in office, and then at 29 hours a week, 12 hours in office. So that's really, like, you all can read through the rest of this. That's the one thing that I think some discussion here could be useful on, and how people feel about that. Me and Alessia were going over it. We feel that that's reasonably fair. Those office hours obviously can be spread out at any time throughout the week, but that seems like, to have a good sense of, okay, you work here, be in your office at least a little bit, have that accountability and kind of open door at least a few hours a week, I think is valuable. And I think this corresponds relatively well to the hours in which you are being paid at. So the floor is open if anybody has any comments or anything. But cool. Holly.
Yeah, I do. I have a comment on behalf of like the top 5, I guess. Like those of us, well, I know the rest of you are salaried at 29, but I'm obviously only salaried at 20. If I'm spending 8 hours in the office, like sometimes I have more meetings that would cut into that I would need to be out of the office for a week, if you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So like on those weeks, what do we do? Like, what do we do about that?
I mean, the carve-out's pretty, I mean, just talk to us, I guess, I think is broadly how it would be.
It's like if Senate, for example, goes on for like 5 hours one night, that counts as working. And if University Senate is the same week as well, like when you add it all up without having like the Chancellor meetings, the Provost meetings, leading GSAB, stuff like that, it would be more.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there should be some leniency for those that, like Alessia, Sadie, and I, that just get pulled here, there, and everywhere,
Yeah, I mean, it's discretionary, but it's also, I think that's more than reasonable, and I don't see any problem with that. I mean, you're doing.
You. I just wanted to bring that up because that is going to happen this semester, because it happens every semester. Yeah. We love our lives, It's
good.
Yeah, this is meant to be like a target to aim for and is by no means, held like sacrosanct usually. We would like for these office hours to be present just so that we can have staff interaction in the office. That's very important, in terms of like our staff bonding. And then I think also on the other side of that, making sure that we can sort of like talk to each other while in office, because it helps our project management. So I think as long as those are being fulfilled and some office hours might shift during the week, then that should be totally fine.
And is it okay, sorry to ask another question, like, for example, I could come into the office and do like University Senate or StudEx from my office, but then I would have to have the door closed because those are on Zoom. Is that okay?
Yes, because the idea is that you would still be accessible to your constituents if they ever did come into the office, because you could just greet them.
Then I guess that'll be my plan, and I'll do that. Sorry to take up everyone's time.
Totally fine.
No,
that was a great question.
Yeah, no, this is what I expected the most discussion and whatnot to be over. And also for like the student senate, with the policy as well, like again, like of course use work hours primarily for student senate related business. But if you're just like completely done with everything and you're like, oh, I'm sitting in my office for no reason, then you can obviously talk to me and Alessia and do something else or work on homework in the office. It's not a huge deal. But this policy is it's definitely catered towards kind of having people in the office, at least setting kind of an expectation of, all right, this is how many hours you should be here, and then fostering that engagement and interaction. We're going to try to get pizza, through the, not like every day, obviously, but through the Pepsi Fund, at least, for exec staff meetings and stuff. But, but yeah, that's essentially it.
One part I also would touch on is the end portion.
Oh, yes.
Let's see.
Could I ask a question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, when are we able to access like the office? Like, is it 7 days a week, or Like, are we able to get here on weekends?
You're able
Is-
to access the office whenever the union is open as a building. And so the union's like building hours that are posted on their website will be the hours that you're able to come into the Senate office.
Okay. Okay. I'll look into that. And also, just like a strategic question for the people that have been on exec before, what, I guess this could relate personally to me as treasurer or whoever, whoever else, but who should I try and have the same office hours with? Like, is that beneficial to think about, or should I just do it based on my schedule? Because I could see how it'd be helpful if maybe Zachariah and I have some shared hours. Like, is there any other positions that I should maybe talk to and see when they're in office? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
it does. I think personally you should cater it more to your class hours. Like if it's like specifically like you want to meet with Zachariah because like that is related to Senate finances, I think that yeah, having that conversation would be helpful to see when y'all two can have meetings throughout the week. But for interaction with any other staff members that might not link into your office hours, you can always set like a meeting outside of them.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just think
Okay.
it's better to cater it to your class schedule because that'll be sort of like your schedule as you're like on campus and moving through in the day.
That's good. Cool. Thank
And
you.
also, beginning is like when it says beginning of the semester, it's kind of a loose term because like that first week of classes is like, oh, I'm going to drop half my classes, you know, whatever. People are shaking up their schedules constantly. But also, it would be nice to like have an exec staff meeting where we're all together in person. We can talk about what our schedules are going to be like and stuff before we're actually setting the schedules. So when it says beginning, it doesn't mean like first day on Monday. You have to have your schedule for the rest of the semester. Like that's more like, you know, the first week or two. You should have that set up. But it'd be good when we all meet and stuff and kind of can discuss that as well. So
The only
I
other,
have a question.
oh, so sorry. You can go ahead.
I can wait. It's all good.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say as well, like to touch on the other parts I wanted to touch on were just like the Student Senate funds policy, just making sure that your purchase orders are appropriately filed if you ever do need to order office supplies or something for an event or anything out of sort of the office fund. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on was the election policy for campaigning. So this is a big shift from like last year, and it was a big shift when we did it in the office policy manual past December. But as of right now, elections conversations are able to happen in the Student Senate office. However, you must make sure that those do not interfere with your duties as an executive staff member. We don't want to sort of like shy away from the fact that those conversations will happen and we want interaction in Student Senate elections, but we just want to ensure that like for executive staff members, that doesn't interfere with their job duties. And so that same policy will sort of apply throughout this year as well. So just be mindful of that, especially as spring rolls around for the Student Senate elections.
do you have a question?
Hi. So it's my first time working with the Social Justice Committee. So would all your rules apply with me to like would I have an office? Would I have the whole 29 hours or no?
No. Okay, so council chairs are all salaried at 5 hours per week. And that is meant to be for like council related work. And so your meetings are often going to last potentially up to like 3 hours. And so that'll account for a large portion of those works during that week. Other work can be done through your council subcommittees and submitting records to, you know, me and the internal affairs director. So stuff like that is really what's going to account for most of your duties. And that's why you'll notice that like the hour tiers were 15, 20, and 29, because they only apply to the exec staff. But for council chairs, you'll have more leniency as long as you're just completing your council duties and we receive your records.
Thank you.
Of course.
Motion to vote, if there aren't any other questions, obviously.
I'll second that.
Cool. All right. Any objections? Okay. All right. So to approve this and move it on, could I get a hands up reaction? All right, beautiful. Put your hands down. Any votes against can put their hands up now. Doesn't look like there's going to be any, so we can go ahead and pass that. Okay. On to our final item, which is the Student Senate Handbook. I guess I can talk about that a little bit if you'd like me to.
Oh, no, of course.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the Student Senate Handbook. Last one we had was like, what, 2017, 2018?
At least from the dates, yeah.
Yeah, so we brought it back because, I don't know, it's nice to have this. It's a good resource for new senators and old alike. Good thing you can look at, but it basically has everything. Cycle calendars, our little executive staff bios. Zachariah, I forgot to put yours in because it was too late, but I will. This isn't final. We can edit that on the back end. But yes, all your bios that I also put up on the website, admin contacts, responsibilities of a senator, outreach expectations. I don't have to go through all of it, but yeah, this essentially just defines basically the basics of Student Senate and how it works, and it's a good primer for people joining and for people still involved. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
I will ask one question specifically to you, Madison. So we obviously sort of did your administrative contact just as we sort of saw your role fitting in for admin contact purposes. Do you think that sort of accurately represents your position, or would you want to send something else in?
Hold on a second. Is it on the screen right now?
Could you pull it
go
up,
back
Sam?
to it? Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry. Go. Yeah, it's up.
I think that's good. I can work with Sarah to see if we need to add anything else to it.
Amazing.
Then I'll let you know.
Yeah, could you just get an email back by tomorrow? Because we're hoping, I guess, to send it out to all senators by then.
Yep.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Anything else? Oh, I will say at the back, if you haven't gotten to the back of this handbook yet, because obviously well, we all did give you a lot of reading this past night here. But at the end of here is also a Robert Rules of Order cheat sheet. And so if you or, any senators are ever having times where they are unsure about motion making and what that will look like, they'll be able to look back at this to sort of see how motions can be done in Student Senate meetings. And hopefully, I think this will be helpful sort of for senators to have as they get into the function of Senate meetings throughout the year.
Certainly helpful for me if I need it.
And I see Riley has a question.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I saw that my bio isn't there, but I sent it in. Should I resend that to someone? I sent it in to Sadie, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, that's why I never got.
I forwarded it to Sam.
Oh, you did? Oh, darn.
Oh, don't open
Yeah,
your email in the recorded
I
meeting.
saw yours, Riley, and then I just sent it on.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we'll add all the bios in on the back end.
Yeah, we will.
Sending it out. Who was the final person?
Sam, your email's on the screen. You probably want to take it off.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. I should do that. Okay. Okay, it looks like.
So can we
missing-
motion to vote on this with the edits that need to be done in regards to Madison and Riley?
Sure.
Yeah.
And Zachariah. Sorry, don't want to forget Zachariah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, looks like it passes. In that case, this will go on as amended. We only have a couple minutes left in the meeting, and it looks like I can finish up. I forgot, I think we're missing one more bio. Was it Danae's?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay, yes. That is it.
No, I submitted mine like 2 weeks ago to you, and you replied.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's okay.
Oh, we
Sorry,
meant like
okay.
we were missing it from the handbook.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
No, you're good. Okay, awesome. Well, then we'll add all those on the back end, and that should be good. But if nobody has anything else, I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I think Sarah has a question.
Oh, sorry.
I do. Couple things real quick. I'm not sure why you have Dr. Durham as Dean of Undergraduate Studies. In the administrative contact on there, like Dr. Durham is the Vice Provost for Student Affairs, but I have no idea why. I like tried to even Google it. I've like no idea where that came from.
Yeah, because that was just like leftover from the previous handbook, and so I'm wondering if it might just be historically.
It may have been like temporary if there had been a transition or something like that, but Dr. Durham is definitely not Dean of Undergraduate Studies.
Yeah, no, we can definitely take that off.
So that was just something that I noticed. And Madison, we're actually so I would just change one bit of like the last, because the advisor roles are being discussed by the vice provost, and so that has not been finalized yet. And so that would be, so I would just say that like the last little sentence there, that serves as an advisor to Student Senate. I would just say that.
Okay.
Because Madison may take on more specific advisory roles, but those haven't been identified yet. And if you need to send this out urgently, I would just have it be a little more broad.
Okay. I still have other advisors on council, so Dr. Joseph for social justice, Katie and Bill for rights, and for finance still Jen. Are those good?
So again,
okay,
that could change. So either I would say that 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 they are maybe just adding something there about like subject to change, because again, like I said, we're scheduled to have a meeting to revisit advisor roles in the not too distant future here, where I believe Dr. Durham wants to kind of outline everything because so many things have changed in the last year. So I cannot guarantee who will be assigned what. So I think it would be safer maybe to just either put I potentially, yeah. Like I would say that you could say something about like advisors are assigned by the vice provost of student affairs, and will be identified soon, or however you want to put that, just to not.
I could just possibly put that under Dr. Durham's bio, that she would also assign all of the other advisors to Student Senate entities.
That sounds good. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Well done.
And
Great.
so for Madison's role, just switch to an advisor of Student Senate, and then for Dr. Durham's, obviously get the incorrect titles out and put that in.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I had one more question for you, but maybe we take this one after the meeting, and it's regarding getting your chairs, your council chairs paid and stuff like that. So that's a process like that. Actually, the conversation here kind of, I think it's Josepha. Hi. Hopefully we'll get to meet you soon. But you prompted me to think, oh, right. You're going to be paying those folks this year. We're going to need to make a plan. So just mostly wanted to say that so that you can circle back around with me, because they won't be able to be paid unless we do a bunch of paperwork.
Brilliant. All right. And then, yeah, we'll stay for after for questions. And so anyone else who has questions, feel free to stay after to ask.
I think Holly has a question.
I do have a question, but
it's
really Madison and Sarah, so I guess everyone else doesn't need to stay just to listen to my question.
Okay. Did we approve the handbook then? Was that approved by majority?
No, not yet.
Okay.
that's the final item. So could I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor of approving the handbook with the edits that we discussed just now, please raise your hand.
All right. Looks unanimous.
Looks unanimous. Cool. Okay. In that case, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Cool. All in favor of adjourning, please put your hands up.
All right. And it looks like adjournment definitely passes.
Looks like we are adjourned. A final note of personal privilege. I'm going to be in the office today working on posters, me and Alessia, and I guess Turner's there too. You'd like to come in and join and help make some stuff, that would be great. Union Fest is this Saturday as well. If anybody would like to come help out, it's just, we're going to be tabling for a couple hours. I think it's what, like 5 to 7:30, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that would be really helpful if somebody could, if people.
That is
would like to
correct.
stop.
5 to 7:30.
Yeah, we'll be by the Silk people on the hill. Or,
I have
yeah.
a quick question.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys need anything made like for tabling, like I don't know, poster wise or something? I just wanted to know. I could do it now.
Maybe some flyers, like just little like stuff that they can take with them, I guess. Because we're working on the poster board and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know how if we could get that done though in time, but
Okay, I can look into like making like brochures or something.
yeah, kind of like that.